We know that Israel described their actions as self-defense following the atrocities conducted by the Hamas military wing against Israeli civilians and soldiers, but self-defense is also bound by international law and explicitly cannot comprise retaliatory or punitive action. Under international law, no state can ever be permitted to justify genocide in the name of self-defense. So there can be no justification for this brutal mass collective punishment of Palestinians in Gaza. There are also now well-founded fears being expressed by leading human rights institutions that under the cover of this attack on Gaza, the ongoing expulsion of Palestinians from their homes in the West Bank will intensify dramatically, and that Israel is on the brink of embarking on a mass act of ethnic cleansing. And indeed, we're witnessing an incredibly violent situation in the West Bank now. In the last few weeks, there have been extensive Israeli military raids on Palestinian towns, villages, and refugee camps, and a huge increase in violence perpetrated by Israeli settlers. On top of that, a further 1,350 Palestinians from Gaza with permits to work in Israel have also been imprisoned. They're being referred to now in the Israeli media as prisoners of war, and we're learning day by day the reports of the abuse that they are experiencing in detention now. Israel has for 56 years maintained an unlawful occupation throughout Palestine, and it's simply not good enough for our political leaders to merely call for international law to be respected when we know that the Israeli government has for decades acted in disregard for international law in the context of its military occupation of Palestine. So at its core, this is really not only a humanitarian crisis of extreme proportion in Gaza, but it's a political crisis in relation to Palestine as a whole. And while what's needed right now is an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, this must be followed up with an acknowledgement that the events of the last 3 weeks have brought about a total paradigm shift in Palestine and Israel, and this has real implications for the way that the international community continue to address this crisis.